In the late 1920s, Henry Ford was the most powerful industrialist on Earth. He had revolutionized travel, mastered the assembly line, and built an empire of steel. But Ford had one major problem: the British. They held a global monopoly on rubber, the one material his cars couldn't exist without. Ford's solution was as arrogant as it was ambitious. He wouldn't just buy rubber. He would build a piece of America in the heart of the most inhospitable place on the planet, the Amazon rainforest. He called it Fordlandia. But what was supposed to be a Midwestern utopia, complete with golf courses, paved streets, and white picket fences, turned into a descent into madness. Today, the rusted remains of Ford's dream stand as a silent, decaying monument to human hubris. A ghost city where the jungle didn't just win. It consumed the souls of those who tried to tame it. Today, we go beyond the violent fall and the eerie silence of Fordlandia. Henry Ford never actually visited Brazil. To him, the Amazon was simply a blank space on a map that needed to be optimized. In 1928, he acquired a tract of land the size of Connecticut along the Tapajos River. The scale of the project was staggering. Ford sent massive steamships loaded with American machinery, prefabricated houses, and even a hospital designed by world-class architects. He wanted to export not just his business, but his morality. The workers were given high wages, but they came with a price. Ford imposed a strict American lifestyle. Alcohol was forbidden. Tobacco was banned. Even the food was dictated by Detroit: oatmeal, canned peaches, and brown rice. In a land where the heat reached 100 degrees with 90% humidity, Ford forced his Brazilian workers to attend square dances and poetry readings after 10-hour shifts in the sun. He was trying to turn jungle dwellers into Michigan factory workers. It was a clash of civilizations that could only end in blood. But the environment was the first to strike back. The Amazon isn't a garden, it's a battlefield. Ford's engineers, brilliant in Detroit, knew nothing of tropical agriculture. They planted millions of rubber trees side by side, creating a buffet for native leaf blights and caterpillars. The forest was literally eating his investment before it could even produce a single tire. By 1930, the tension in Fordlandia had reached a breaking point. The workers were malnourished, exhausted, and humiliated by the morality police Ford had hired to monitor their private lives. The spark was something seemingly minor, a dispute in the cafeteria over the forced American diet, but it ignited a powder keg. In what became known as the Breaking of the Pans riot, workers armed with machetes destroyed the time clocks, cut the telegraph wires, and chased the American managers into the jungle. The managers spent days hiding on boats in the river, watching as the dream of Fordlandia burned under the tropical stars. The Brazilian army eventually intervened, but the spirit of the city was broken. Even after the riot, Ford refused to give up. He moved the operation downriver to a new site called Belterra. But nature was relentless. The pests followed. The trees died. And then, the world changed. In 1945, synthetic rubber was perfected in laboratories. Suddenly, the millions of dollars Ford had poured into the mud were worthless. Henry Ford's son, Henry Ford II, sold the land back to the Brazilian government for a fraction of its cost. A $20 million empire, over $300 million in today's money, was abandoned overnight. The Americans packed their bags and left, leaving behind a fully equipped city to be reclaimed by the vines and the shadows. If you visit Fordlandia today, the silence is heavy. The iconic water tower still stands, rusted and hollow, overlooking a landscape of skeletons. Prefabricated houses, once painted in bright Midwestern colors, are now choked by giant ficus trees. The hospital, once the most advanced in South America, is a shell of broken glass and rotting floorboards. Local residents, descendants of those who stayed, tell stories of the American ghosts. They speak of the sound of machinery echoing from the abandoned workshops at night. Some claim to see the silhouettes of men in 1920s attire walking the overgrown golf courses, forever trapped in a dream that turned into a nightmare. But the most haunting part of Fordlandia isn't the ghosts. It's the message. It serves as a reminder that the earth cannot be managed by a spreadsheet. Ford tried to impose his will on a landscape that has its own ancient dark intelligence.
The jungle didn't just destroy Fordlandia, it waited for it to fail. It sat in silence as the steel rusted and the picket fences rotted, slowly pulling the modern world back into the soil. Fordlandia is more than a failed business venture. It is a cautionary tale of what happens when we forget our place in the natural world. Henry Ford conquered the assembly line, but he couldn't conquer the Tapajos. The map is full of places like this, voids where civilization tried to plant a flag only to be swallowed whole.
What do you think? Was Fordlandia doomed from the start, or was it just a matter of bad timing? Let us know in the comments. If you want to see more expeditions into the world's most mysterious failures, subscribe to Beyond the Map. Keep your eyes on the shadows. The jungle is always watching.